Welcome back to the Reading Corner. If you're new here, my name is Jay Barrows and I love talking about all things books. Today, I am starting the reading vlog for Good Omens by Neil Gaiman. So we'll see how it goes because I know absolutely nothing. I do know a little bit, I guess, but not a whole ton. I know that there is a baby switch, and also that there are angels and demons, since this was written by the same person who had a hand in creating Lucifer, which is a lovely show on Netflix about Lucifer and what happens when he takes a vacation from hell. So that's all I know, and this was all information that came from a friend of mine. So we'll see how it goes. It's been some time now, and I had to take a break from reading because I had a couple of appointments to go to. So I'm back at it again, and we've had some things happen that are quite important to the story. The most important being that we had the baby switch happen. Crawley was supposed to meet these two people in this graveyard, and he was late because, sorry, my hair is like bothering me. He was late because he was just having fun, right? He, is supposed to be in hell, like watching over hell, because he's considered to be Satan. Crawley is, and so he is just having fun on Earth, and so he finally arrived, and we met two of the demons. I can't remember their names at the minute, but we finally met two of the demons, and he was like, "Why did you call me here? What are we doing?" And they're like, "It's time." And he was like, no, is it really? And they were like, So he's like, okay, like, but this isn't really my cup of tea. Like, why do you think I should do this? And they're like, you'll be fine. Sign here. And they're talking about this piece of paper that he now has to sign. So the demons made him sign a piece of paper. And then they're like, you'll get your instructions. Leave. And he's like, okay. So he got his instructions, and basically God told him, yep, go to the hospital, do the thing. And he was like, okay, cool. While he was in the graveyard, the demons gave him a bassinet, and I'm like, okay, cool. We just get a little basket to put the baby in. And then we switch over to the hospital where two women are having a baby, and all we've named them is baby A and baby B. That's all we've named them. And they also look identical. Like, the descriptions of them are identical. They both have blonde hair. If I remember correctly, they also have the same color eyes. So, yeah, really confusing when we do the switch. Which is why there is a mistake. However, the only reason we can tell that there was a mistake was because of this line that says, Sister Mary's error might have been noticed by the other nun had not she herself been severely rattled by the Secret Servicemen in Mrs. Dowling's room. Mrs. Dowling is one of the parents of one of the babies. Okay, I can't remember if she's the mother of baby A or baby B, but like, she's one of the moms. Okay, and these like Secret Servicemen showed up, and apparently the nun was startled, so she she didn't notice that that Sister Mary made a mistake when switching the babies. So yeah, we made a mistake. So the baby that oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. Crawley ended up with is not the baby he was supposed to end up with. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all that, and I will update you if anything exciting happens, because right now it's a little bit boring, but I'm sure it'll pick up soon. So I haven't been updating much because not much has been going on. All we found out is that there was definitely something wrong with the baby switch, and Crawley ended up with the wrong baby. And the only way we know this is because apparently the baby was acting too normal. So now they're on the hunt for the correct baby. However, they can't find him. Also, if you remember the baby that they named Adam, that's the one that Crawley is supposed to have. So we're kind of just following Adam around and seeing his life right now, but nothing else is really going on. So, also, we met Agnes, and she is the one that has the Book of Prophecies that was mentioned in the introduction of the story. Her bike broke down, and Crawley and his friend helped her repair the bike and took her home, and then she ended up losing her Book of Prophecies in their car. And she had a run-in with Adam, but she doesn't know that much about him other than the fact that, you know, he's a nice boy, and apparently he doesn't have an aura around him. Apparently most people she's met have an aura around them, and Adam does not. Other than that, nothing else is really going on. Although I heard from a friend of mine, who I'm reading this with, that she didn't find much going on within the first half of the book, and then the second half of the book picked up. So I'm hoping that's the case, because, again, I'm still kind of bored. So it has been a couple of days. However, I have finally gotten to an interesting part of the story, and Agnes Nutter has now died. Remember the woman who got picked up by Crawley and his friend, and she left her book in their car by accident? Yeah, she died. And we don't know what's going to happen. And we know that she left specific instructions for the book and this random box in her house to be delivered to her son. And she also made this big explosion happen when she died because something was in her pockets. The book says, Agnes's petticoats, wherein she had with some foresight concealed 80 pounds of gunpowder and 40 pounds of roofing nails. And that's what caused the big explosion when she was lit on fire, since people considered her a witch. And back then, they lit witches on fire and burned them at the stake. We also know that if the book and the box aren't delivered to her son, then something bad is going to happen, because the book also says there were specific instructions as to what should be done with the box, and equally specific instructions about what should be done with the book. It was to be sent to Agnes's son, John Device. Agnes's note included painfully precise predictions and what would happen to people who did not carry out her orders. Also, there is something going on with the guy who burnt Agnes at the stake. We don't quite know what it is. He has died. However, his descendant is going to go to Agnes's last descendant. The book says, and it might have afforded him some satisfaction to know that his last surviving descendant was now, even if unawares, heading toward Agnes Nutter's last surviving descendant. He might have felt that some ancient revenge was at last going to be discharged. So we don't know what's going to happen, but something is definitely afoot, and things are getting interesting now, because now we're gonna follow what's happening with Agnes's descendant as well as this person's descendant who burned her at the stake. So things are definitely, dare I say, heating up, which checks out because my friend told me that it was going to get a little bit more interesting once we hit the 50% mark, and we are at 48%. So that makes sense. So things have started to get interesting finally, and Agnes's ancestor as well as the witch hunter's ancestor have now met. He showed up because he got in a car accident and she was helping him recover. And then once he woke up, Agnes's ancestor showed him some of the prophecies in Agnes's book and has been trying to piece together what they mean. Also, there was a prophecy about her and him meeting and how that would occur. But then there was also this cryptic line about how his heart be clean, yet seed of mine own undoing. Take the means of flame from him, for to make right certain, together ye shall be until the end that is to come. So, apparently, they are destined to be together. And so we'll see how that goes, because he doesn't quite believe in all this prophecy stuff. But he's hearing her out at least, and he is listening to what she has to say. Except all he can think about is how she's a beautiful woman and how he wants to take her out and take her on a date. So we'll see how that goes. However, his mood is a little soured by the fact that there is this prophecy that says that they will be together. He comments on the fact that, yes, he wants to get to know her better. However, it sours him to know that this is kind of their destiny, right? He wants to make his own choices, and he feels like that choice is kind of being taken away from him since it's destined that they'll be together. So we'll see how that goes. Also, we learned that Agnes's book of prophecies has a lot to do with her family. A lot of her prophecies have to do with the descendants of her and her family. So we originally were led to believe that these were prophecies about the world and how it would end. And that is still true. However, most of them are about her and her family. Finally, we found out that Adam, the one that we were supposed to have when we did the baby switch, he has had this voice in his head that has been talking to him. And I'm pretty sure that change is coming, because that voice in his head was telling him, "It's all too much of a mess," he said. "We should start again. Just save the ones we want and start again. That's the best way. It'll be doing the earth a favor when you come to think about it. It makes me angry seeing the way those old loonies are messing it up." I say change is happening because I recently took a class, and it was a myths and rights class. So we studied several creation myths from around the world, and that was often how the story started, was a divine being was angry with the way that humans were acting. And so they would conjure some phenomena in order to burn the world or whatever, and through burning the world, start again. So because this voice in his head is saying, "I'm angry," and we know that Adam is the Antichrist from Agnes Nutter's prophecy, change is most definitely coming. So I have 24 pages left before I finish Good Omens, and I thought I would catch you up before the final stretch. So we have met these 4 bikers, aka apocalyptic horse persons, and their names are Death, War, Famine, and Pollution. And they're also known as the 4 apocalyptic button pushers. So you need all 4 of them in order to bring on the end of the world / apocalyptic event. And they need a sword, a crown, and some scales to do it. So they went to this military base and pretended to be these 4 generals to get in and grab the flaming sword. Then Adam and his friends all showed up to stop the end of the world. Or in the case of the apocalyptic button pushers, start the end of the world. Then one of Adam's friends creates what could be called scales out of some twigs and string. And War said, "Little boys," she said, "playing with your toys. Think of all the toys I can offer you. Think of all the games. I can make you fall in love with me, little boys. Little boys with your little guns." That part reminded me of Mazikeen. If any of you have watched the show Lucifer, that was something that I could imagine Mazikeen saying. Something that confused me was the fact that even though Adam is the Antichrist, he really doesn't do much. It was all his friends who helped him stop the end of the world, right? His one friend made the scales, which turned into the discus, which then turned into a coin, which caused the 3 apocalyptic button pusher horse people to disappear, stopping the end of the world from occurring. If Adam was such a big figure and they were all worried about the Antichrist, as it were, then why didn't he play a bigger role in the story? That's what I'm curious to know. So we have stopped the end of the world from occurring, and now we get to finish the story. I don't know what's going to be included in the last 24 pages, but we shall see. Okay, so it has been a week, and I was going to record a portion talking about how I felt, and I feel like I've been run over by a truck. I was doing a summer internship, and it has taken the life out of me. So instead of recording a clip, I'm just going to do a voiceover and talk about how I feel about it. I did write a review on Goodreads, and I'm just going to read it out for anyone who can't see the screen. So here we go. The book was okay. I loved all the Lucifer references. I did. Absolutely. However, I was bored for most of the book and felt like it could have been cut in half. I did enjoy the parts where Adam talked about the state of the environment and how nitrogen and cows were bad, since even though the book was published in 2006, all of it remained true. Following that same thought, I also enjoyed how people thought that Ignis Nutter was crazy for caring about washing hands. Lastly, I like the theme or question that the authors asked the readers, which was, are things set in stone or predestined, or do you have a choice? So, those were my thoughts. Like I said in the review, I did love all the Lucifer references. Definitely go check out that show. If you were piqued a little bit by the interest in Good Omens and this whole question that the author posed about, fate and destiny, or do we have a choice? Because Lucifer focuses on that more in depth. And something I will say that I was confused about was that if Adam had such a big role, then why wasn't he more present in the story? That's something that will always be going around in my mind whenever I think about this book. But overall, I'm glad that I read it, and it was okay. So now I can go watch the show. And that was purely why I read it, was because my friend Ratika, who showed up in the Song Association video, told me I should read it because the second season of the show was coming out and I should watch the show because it was a good time. And I said, okay, well, I need to read the book so that I can understand the show. So now that I've read the book, and even though it wasn't great, I can now watch the show and follow my Instagram because I think I'm going to record my reaction to the show in Instagram Reels.